All right. Hey guys, I'm not going to be here this week. I'm quarantined. And so I come to you from my messy, messy craft room. And I've got to go over some things before we just dive into second semester of Algebra 2. All right. So I want to say if some of you didn't think you were going to pass and ended up passing because you passed your final, some of you still didn't pass, but that's okay. Don't give up. Try really hard this semester. If you pass this semester, I'll go back and change your grade from first semester to passing. So give it all you got this semester, guys. Hopefully things will go better being back 5 days a week. So for some housekeeping things, when you walked in, you should have picked up a chapter 5 practice packet and a chapter 5 notes packet. So if you didn't, get those right now, and then also get out your iPad. So you can pause the video so everyone has some time to do that. Okay. Now that you have all of that, I'm going to go just show you a few things before we dive in with your iPad. We're going to, I'm going to show you some changes about the Canvas page. I'm hoping it's a little easier to understand. My page looks slightly different on the bottom because I have to manually put it in a student view. But if you either go to modules on the side, which I need to move that up, sorry that it's down low, or go to the coursework, this important information module is going to remain at the top no matter what, okay? It's going to have the free online tutoring, which right now is just ELT. I haven't gotten any K-State students yet because they haven't started back. We have the parent functions. Just a reminder, like those are the posters that are along the backboard. Here's some reminders of them online. And this semester, you are going to turn everything in as PDFs. So this can give you two of the ways to do it. If you're going to take pictures of it and want it to be a PDF, you can use it doing the Notes app on your iPad. If you've already taken the picture and it is a JPEG or something, so when you like screenshot your big ideas score, okay, this is how you change it, okay? There's other ways to do that. So you can Google those if these don't work for you. Let me know if you find better ways. I would be happy to update that or just add another way to do it. But everything is expected to be turned in as a PDF, okay? And one PDF. So if you have multiple pages, that's where you need to use the Notes app to be able to take multiple pictures and get it as one PDF. Okay, so for starting, our weeks or my modules are going to go from like starting all the way through a Wednesday where we have all 7 periods. So it has to be a 5-day week or whatever. That's when we have a quiz. So each module will end with a quiz. Every time we have a quiz, that'll end that module. It will have the overview at the beginning. So it shows us today and tomorrow, but I'm sorry, Tuesday and Wednesday, whichever day you're watching this video. This is what we're doing. And then I will have the videos linked on here as well for the lesson videos. So if you too are at home having to learn because you're quarantined or sick, it will have the videos. This is where everything's going to be. Okay. It has a link to the practices and it has a link to Canvas and our big ideas, sorry, and all of that. So and again, when we get to 5.1 later, it says it's not required, the extra credit, and that is a link to the assignment to turn that in. That's the one you don't need to turn in. If you go back to the module, all the assignments are listed here as well. Okay, it will end with this quiz. It says 0 points right now because I haven't made the quiz yet. But today we'll start with the assignment on the chapter 5 opener. So you will take a picture of your screenshot from Big Ideas, and it'll be locked. I'm doing this video a little early. So you'll take a picture and then you've got to convert it to a PDF, and then that's what you submit. But first thing we need to start with is everyone needs to get out your iPad. You have to sign up for Big Ideas. So if you go to Big Ideas right now, you have no assignments. Well, you have no current assignments because you have all of last semester stuff. So what we're going to do is change it from first semester to second semester. So if you haven't signed up for Big Ideas yet, you can click on this and go to Big Ideas. What I recommend before you do that, everyone needs to copy the class code. So copy the class code, then go to Big Ideas Math. If you are already a student like you had me last semester, go ahead and log in. Even if you had a different teacher, go ahead and log in. If you didn't, you do need to say new to Big Ideas Math, okay? And fill out that. Once you're in, I would log in, but I've already added this class. But once you're in, you go up to add class and you paste that class code. Okay, this is where you're going to put it. And then you say next. Okay, once you've been added to that class, I then can assign you assignments. Okay, so I've already created the assignment for Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, Friday, and Monday and Tuesday next week, but I can't give you anything until you're in the class. So it might not be there for you right away. Even though I'm not at work, I am going to try to stay on top of things and be refreshing Big Ideas throughout the day. But no matter what, you can do the assignment on paper and submit it later, okay? Because this assignment actually, it hopefully doesn't take you too terribly long. So that's goal number 1, is to get on Big Ideas, get on the correct class. And then when you go to your assignments, see, I already have the assignment because I'm part of the class, but when you go to Algebra 2 second semester, you will see, or I'm sorry, when you go to the classes right here, see your name should be right here in the top right. Then it might say Algebra 2. Well, that was first semester. So we're on second semester. So you need to make sure that is what's clicked. I will get Algebra 2 first semester turned off shortly, but I haven't done that yet. So now when you screenshot from Big Ideas, so you do your assignment. So, okay, so I'm going to just do my assignment. And then give it a minute. I already did my assignment. So I'm going to submit it. So I'm going to come up here and I'm just going to say submit, submit. I don't even know. I don't think I even did the last problem, but uh-oh, I missed a problem. No big deal. So we are going to screenshot this, okay, with your iPad. Do not cut and paste. Your name needs to be shown in the top right corner, okay? So if you're using your phone, like doing it on a computer, so use your phone to take a picture, you just need to make sure your name is there and the assignment and the score, okay? If by chance you forget and don't get it done there, you can always go to reports. And you can see I've done lots of other things, but and take a picture there, and your name should still be in the top right. Just, well, it is until you scroll down too far, but if you need to submit more than one picture, you can, but make sure your name is included and shows the assignments. All right, so I'm going to stop sharing that, and we're going to go ahead and get on to the lesson. So get out the chapter 5 chapter 5 notes. We're going to start on the chapter 5 opener.
All right, so this is the chapter 5 opener notes. That will help us with the chapter 5 opener on Big Ideas. And the essential question for chapter 5 opener here is, how can you use properties of integer exponents to simplify expressions? And how can you solve an equation for a specific variable? So the first thing we're going to need to look at for our core concepts here are our properties of exponents. So we have 8 different rules to follow. We have a product rule, which is when we have the bases are the same but to different powers, and the bases are multiplied together. We add the powers. Okay? Quotient rule is where I'm dividing. Then I subtract the powers, the top power minus the power in the base, or in the denominator, I should say it that way. Power rule, now I have something taken to a power, and all of that is taken to a power. So this is, I like to say this is a power to a power. It's not adding, because this is taking 2 different terms that both have powers and multiplying the terms together. This one is taking a power to a power, and that's when we multiply those powers. Okay, a negative rule. So if I have a variable or a number to a negative variable, the only thing that does is changes it to a fraction. Okay, so especially if you do quotient rule and you do the subtraction and y was bigger than x, you'll often end up, if that's the case, you'll end up with a, like, let's just say I end up with an x to the negative 4th power. Well, then I need to come down and use the negative rule and end up saying, okay, then that means it's 1 over x to the 4th power. Okay, we don't leave it with a negative power. Power of a product. So this is saying I have two things multiplied together and all of that is taken to a power. Well, I just have to take each thing inside to that power. Power of a quotient, same thing. So even though this is a quotient here, but all of it is taken to a power, I need to take a power of the numerator, or the numerator to that power and the denominator to that power. And obviously the denominator cannot be 0 or you can't have a fraction there. Okay? This is my favorite rule, the 0 exponent rule. Anything to the 0 power equals 1. Anything but 0. 0 to the 0 power. No, doesn't work. But anything else to the 0 power equals 1. And then the exponent of 1. Anything to the first exponent, or 1 exponent, is itself. So that one I also like. These bottom two are kind of my favorites because they're easy to deal with. Alright, so if we now go to simplifying expressions using these properties, we have number 1. It is x to the 5th times x squared, all divided by x cubed. So let's list the powers that I'm going to need to use. At the top here, I have a product, so I'm going to use the product rule. And then this division is a quotient. So I'm going to have a quotient rule. And I like to clean things up. It doesn't quite matter what order you go in here, but I like to clean up the numerators and denominators before I deal with the quotient part. So I'm going to do the product property or product rule first, and then I'm going to do the quotient rule just to keep things nice and clean. Alright, so in the numerator, I have x to the 5th times x squared. Okay, so both of my bases are x. The powers are different, or even if they weren't different, you'd still treat this the same. So the base will stay the same. So no matter what, I'm going to have x to some power over 3x to the 3rd. So my powers on top are a 5 and a 2. And that product rule, so that number 1, says I'm going to I'm going to add those together to be able to multiply the x's, okay? So this ends up being x to the 7th over x cubed. Okay, so now we need to deal with our quotient rule, which is, if we go back to our quotient rule here, it's where we now subtract the powers. So I have x is the base, it's both bases, and it'll be the top minus the bottom power, okay? So this is number 2, that was the quotient rule. And then 7 minus 3 is 4. So in this case, it's a positive power. I only have x one time. I am done. Okay? So let's try number 2. This time, I have some parentheses being taken to a power. So I can see that I'm going to have the power of a product, or like I like to say, I have powers of powers there. And everything inside, I need to first check, can I clean that up? And I can't. I have a 2. So there's no other number term there. I have s. Well, I only have that one s that's being cubed. And I have a t in the denominator. So that's as cleaned up as it can go. So to get rid of the parentheses now, we're going to take everything inside to the second power. Okay? So this is using the power of a product. I'm sorry, this is a power of a product and a power of quotient, because it's got the division, okay? But on top, I have 2 is the power, and I have a term that is 2. So I'm going to have 2 squared. Then I have the term s cubed, and that is also squared. But when we do a power of a power, which is the power rule there, the power rule says I'm taking a power to a power. That's when I multiply them. So it's 3 times 2. And then in the denominator I have t, and really its power is 1. So I'm taking it 1 times 2, which is 2. Okay, and let's just clean this up. 2 squared is 4. S, and then the power is 3 times 2, which is 6, all over t squared. Nothing else can simplify. I don't have a negative power. Okay, I don't have any other constant terms or number terms. I don't have more than one s or more than one t. So this is as simplified as it gets. So for all of these, you're going to review your rules. You want all of your answers to end up with positive powers, no zero exponents, no variable more than once, okay? All of those. So now you can go to your practice and do 1 through 6 and then continue on to the next video. All right, this is video number 2 for the Chapter 5 opener. This time we're going to be rewriting literal equations. So we're going to solve equations for y. Okay? So, number 3 in the notes. Excuse me. All right, so I want to locate y, and in this case it's right there, and I want to get that all by itself. Okay, so we have to get rid of everything else that is on that side of our equation. So I need to move this -5, and I need to move the -2x. So we always start farthest away from the variable we're trying to isolate. So in that case, it's the -2x, because this -5 is connected to the y, so that's kind of as close as you can get. So we got to start farther away. So we're going to get rid of the -2x, so I'm going to add 2x to move it to the other side. So I end up with -5y equals, and you can write this in any order. You can say 10 plus 2x. I just like to leave things as slope-intercept form just because that's what we're used to, where x is always first. So I have a 2x plus 10. And I still need the y all by itself, so I'm still trying to get the y by itself. So I needed to get rid of that -5. Well, it's multiplying the y, so I'm going to divide by -5 to everything. So these -5s cancel, and I'm left with y equals. Now, if things could simplify, we would simplify it, because I have a 2, but I have a 2 divided by 5, that doesn't really simplify. So we can just leave this answer alone. So 2x plus 10 over -5. All right, so let's try number 4. All right, again, we need to find y. Here's y right there. So let's start farthest away from it and get rid of the 3x. So I'm going to subtract 3x. Okay, these cancel. I get -7xy equals a -3x plus 21. Okay, I'm still trying to get this y by itself. So I'm going to divide now. Since all of this is multiplying the y, I'm going to divide by a -7x. So these cancel. The -7x divided by -7x is 1, so it all goes away. So I'm left with y. Now, to simplify this, yes, I can divide 21 by 7, but I can't divide the 3 by 7. So I'm not going to do that. The only thing is I have a negative out front divided by a negative. So I'm going to go ahead and divide everything by a negative. So change the sign of everything. So I end up with a positive 3x, but that leaves me with a minus 21, and it is over 7x. Okay? In the previous one, only our denominator was negative, so I left it alone. But this time, my first term and the denominator was negative. So I needed to correct that a little bit. Now, you could have left it as a positive 21 minus 3x, and then you could have left the negative alone. But there is simplified. Now, one thing I do want to point out, that when you get to the practice, you might have a problem that looks kind of like this, where you would have 3y plus, I don't know, 4xy equals 12. I don't know. I'm making this problem up. But notice I'm trying to get y by itself, and it has two y's. So in this case, I'm going to factor out a y from everything. So I end up with 3 plus 4x. So then to solve for y, I'm just going to divide by 3 plus 4x. Okay? So just pay attention that there is a problem like that in the practice. So now you can do problems number 7 through 12 in the practice and get that submitted and turned in, because that should finish up your practice for the Chapter 5 opener.